For members only, Golf Smarter number 350, published on September 25, 2012.
Welcome to Golf Smarter Mulligans, your second chance to gain insight and advice from the best instructors featured on the Golf Smarter podcast. Great golf instruction never gets old. Our interview library features hundreds of hours of game improvement conversations like this that are no longer available in any podcast app.
So we have a simple case. For example, a 10-foot putt across flat green on a tilt that you run into all the time. What's the break? How much does it break? So I've designed two little putts to tell you all about it. You find a 2% slope. We've already described how do you know it's 2%. Walk straight downhill 100 inches away as you can go, and then you stop and you compare where your foot is to where the hole is and what's the elevation drop from the hole to your foot. You imagine a string coming out of the hole dead level in gravity as far as your foot, and the height of the string above your foot tells you how many inches it is to the surface. That's what percent the slope is. If the string hits your foot at 2 inches off the ground, it's 2% slope because you went 100 inches downhill. 2% is 2 over 100. It's a drop or a rise of 2 inches over a run of 100 inches. That's the slope percent. It's also called the grade. If the string hits your foot at 3 inches off the ground, then that's a 3% slope. If the level string from the hole to your foot hits you in the ankle, that's a 4% slope.
A graduate-level education on reading the greens with Geoff Mangum.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing tips and insights from golfers and golf professionals to help lower your score. It's worked for your host, Fred Green.
Welcome back to Golf Smarter for members only, Jeff.
All right. Got my jacket on.
We're back. How's the coffee? Still at McDonald's, huh?
I have my members only jacket on.
And you've had it since 1977.
Yeah, I got it from the thrift store.
Well, this is a members-only episode, and everyone's got their jackets on.
That's right. Welcome, fellow jacket wearers.
Yeah, for those of you who do remember members-only jackets, I'm sorry. So let's talk about putting some more. Explain to me what a Stimpmeter is and what stimp means and why we use that word. And is it relevant to us as average golfers?
Well, let me just describe to you green speed and the role of Stimpmeter in knowing and using and appreciating green speed.
Okay.
Green speed is the friction in the grass that opposes the rolling of the ball. If you're in outer space and you hit a golf ball, there wouldn't be any friction, and it would just go forever until it was captured by Jupiter or some other planet. If you hit a ball on marble, it has very little friction, and it will go for a long way. If you hit a ball across grass, the bottom of the grass is in contact with a certain area of the green grass, the same way the tread tire is in contact with the road in a certain area. In that area, there is basic electrostatic connection between the grass and the ball that opposes the directionality of the ball and slows it down and brings it to a stop. And some greens have less friction than others because they have tight, short, packed grass that makes it more in the direction of marble. And some greens have more friction because they have shaggy, buoyant, bulbous, fast and bulbous grass blades with a lot of water inside them, like water beds. Grass blades are like water beds. And so the more water there is in the grass blades and the shaggier the grass, the taller the grass, the less packed it is, that will have a lot of friction. So there's a range of green speeds. And modern golf course architects and maintenance technology has tried to bring green speeds up to the limit of what keeps the grass healthy and keeps it fast and uniform and true. Today, greens can easily be maintained at around 9 feet on the Stimpmeter, which is about 50 so it may be 50% or greater quality green surfaces than used to exist in the 60s. It's way better since 1980 than it ever was in 1970. And even today, it's getting better. So greens at country clubs and municipal golf courses and high-dollar public golf courses or semi-private golf courses, they can all have a very high-quality green surface that does not require a lot of special speeding up for enjoyable experiences. For example, everybody says bent grass is better than Bermuda. In 1981, Augusta, Georgia, got rid of its Bermuda grass and replaced it with bent grass because university researchers had designed the grass that would live in the hot and humid South. And prior to 1980, you couldn't grow bent grass in Augusta, Georgia. So as soon as they were able to grow a strain of engineered grass, bent grass in Georgia, they ripped out all the Bermuda and redid everything. And they found out that their buried elephant grounds in the greens of Augusta, Georgia were too steep for the quicker green speed. Remember, it's a combination of the speed and the slope. And they had too much slope because they had old Bermuda greens with a lot of slope. And when they changed to bent greens, they had to get the bulldozers out and kind of flatten their elephants a little bit.
Interesting.
All right, so they did the same thing at Pinehurst. You haven't seen a Donald Ross green because you can't have one today. The grass is too fast to allow that kind of crowning that he used to have. His were really crowned because they were slow. But anyway, the story continues into modern times because now they've gone full circle, and now the highly engineered Bermuda grasses are superior to the bent grasses.
Oh, that's interesting.
For example, Champions is a strain of highly engineered Bermuda grass that you can pack and mow and get low and true, and it is more heat resistant than the special bent grasses at Augusta, Georgia. In Greensboro, North Carolina, the PGA Tour just finished in the Wyndham Championship, and a billionaire bought a bankrupt country club, and the first thing he did was rip out all the bent greens and put in Champions dwarf Bermuda greens. And the golf professionals from PGA Tour exuded luxuriously about the wonderful condition of the greens at Wyndham Championship.
Do golf courses want to have their greens as fast as they possibly can? Is that their goal?
There's a limit on, if you want to putt on marble greens, knock yourself out. There's a limit to, what is the challenge of the golf in the outside environment. So, Stimp 13 at Oakmont is kind of silly. I mean, who wants to play that? Mm-hmm. It's interesting as a vacation, like going to Disneyland once, but you sure don't want to live there.
Yeah, but when you only get to play there once, you're probably just going to get tortured.
Yeah, you won't come back.
Right, you won't come back. You'll say, "Oh, I really want to play this again because now I finally, after 18 holes, I finally got this beat." But you ain't coming back.
Yeah, you take pictures and everything, but you just, it's goofy. It's not really what the skill of the golf is all about. The skill of the golf is it's a reasonable test. It's not a goofy luck-based thing.
Right.
There's a certain point where the green speed gets beyond controllable. The reeds, you're just shooting in the dark, making a reed because you can't control your ball speed enough, and it's the variation on what will work is all over the map, and you're three putting and all that kind of stuff, and downhill putts are crazy. So somewhere around Stimp 12 is where you probably should stop. If you go past Stimp 12, you're just toying with wounded mice.
And if you're below what number, is it like just you need some
just
help?
Bad. I would say today in Europe, some of the greens are 7.5 feet on the Stimpmeter, maybe 7 on a bad day. They have some humidity problems. For example, in the Netherlands, it's pretty much below sea level, and the grass is too moist. The soil is not draining well, and those grasses can be a little thin. And if they're thin, you got to kind of grow them tall in order to cover the green, and then it's not that great. So in Europe, some of the greens are not suitable for really fast surfaces. As you get further towards the warmer climates, you can pick up some good greens. I would say Valderrama and places like that. You can have some really nice, really good greens. There's a lot of quality golf in Europe. Don't get me wrong. It's good. I'm just saying that 7.5 on a Stimpmeter, if you roll a ball off the bottom of a Stimpmeter and it only goes 2 putter lengths and plus a little bit further, that's not a great green.
Right.
PGA Tours typically are stimping 11 feet, which is a lot more than 7. And on a fast, challenging green, they can go up to 12 and 13. You don't want to. U.S. Opens, they're always trying to maximize the green speed for some reason because they're just torturous, cruel individuals that are testing golfers that, can play lots of golf courses with high degree of success, and they want to mess with that particular crowd.
Yeah. Well, that and growing the rough as thick as they possibly can.
Right.
I mean, it's the hardest test in golf. It makes great golfers look like
it's not something that a normal golfer would want to do.
No.
It's not really a golf.
No.
It's US Open golf, but it's not really what normal people think of as golf.
Right.
All right. Now, back to the limit on how much you can speed up the grass. If your green has been designed with X amount of slope, you can't put pin positions where you're going to speed it up to 13 if that slope is too steep. Mm-hmm. And so all U.S. Open golf course setup people have been given the so-called Tom Meeks injunction.
What is that?
Tom Meeks is the guy that screwed up the setup 3 different times, and they threw him out the window. It's called defenestration. Chuck you out the window. It used to be popular in Florence in Dante's day with the Medicis and all that. And sometimes they did it in the 1920s New York with the mafia. But at any rate, when they throw you out the window, that means they've had enough because you messed up the U.S. Open by putting the pin position on too great a slope, and then you drove the speed of the surface up past the red line, and the ball won't stop. It's called crazy golf, and PGA Tour players hate it. And you look terrible on TV when the U.S. Open is completely stupid. They did it at Shinnecock Hills. They did it at Southern Hills. They did it at Olympic in San Francisco.
Yep.
It's just so now they have a little rule. If you're going to be the setup guy for the USGA and set up the U.S. Open, they put you in a room and they say you have one mission in life: do not pull a Tom Meeks. They do. So, but at any rate, so that combination of green speed and slope, there's a number you can figure it out. The combination really needs another word. I call it the SS, the slope stimp. So if you take the slope, 2%, and you multiply it times the green speed, stimp 10, the ball rolls off the Stimpmeter and rolls 10 feet across the green. That would be a SS of 20, 10 times 2. The ball won't stop when the SS is 60.
Okay.
In physics, it just won't stay there. All right. It's like you tilted the table so much that all the plates slid off.
Right.
All right. Now, a 60 can be reached by any number of pathways. A 4 slope, 4%, and a 15 stimp green, or a 12 stimp green and a 5% slope, or a 10 stimp green and a 6% slope. See how that works?
No. Do that one more
Any,
time.
any of those combinations of slope, steepness, and green speed, when multiplied together, equals 60. They're functionally equivalent. Ball won't stop.
Got it. Okay.
10 times 6 is 60.
60. Yep.
Stimp 10 green, 6% slope, ball won't stop.
Okay.
4 times 15 is 60. A stimp 15 green and a 4% slope, ball won't stop. So 4%, if it's a faster green than a stimp 10 you can tilt it all the way to 6% and it won't roll off. But when you speed up to a stimp 15, you can only go to a 4% slope and then it'll roll off.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
That's what happened at Augusta National. Their buried elephant grounds were too steep, and they got a faster grass on their golf course greens, and then they had to flatten out their greens. The tilt is permanent. The green speed comes and goes.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, of course.
Okay, so 5 times 12, a 5% slope. That's as far as you can go with a stimp 12 green. 10 times 6, you can go to 6% when you keep it down to stimp 10. So if you slow down, you can have steep contour. But if you ever get to where you really want to go for the gusto on your green speed, and you start getting above stimp 10 and 11 and that sort of thing, your pin positions kind of shrink on the green. If you had an image of the green and you said, where are all the allowable pin positions? The first question is, how fast is your stimp speed? Stimp 10 has a lot more pinnable positions on green X than does stimp 11. They start to evaporate, and the steeper contours become unavailable for pin positions. The USGA, they have little programs and little charts they carry around to watch that, and then they get on their weather channel on the TV and on the internet, and they start predicting the weather for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to make sure that they're not going to get side ambushed by dry, hot, windy weather that makes the green speed go over the red line. Mm-hmm. That happened at Shinnecock Hills. Mm-hmm. So they don't really want to get all that close to the borderline. They want to keep away from it a little bit. So they have an absolute red line in physics, and then they back away from that. A 10 to 6 is like the absolute limit. You don't want to get as close to that 6 as you can unless you're real sure about the weather. Let's talk about the two putts.
Right. Back to last show. That's where we got started.
Okay, so I've created these two putts that you do that tells you a lot about green reading.
With two 10-foot
putts that you actually face most are the ones you want to know.
Right.
The ones that you can actually sink. Those are the ones you want to focus on. So that's basically inside 15 feet, and for a lot of people inside 10 feet. And that's a simple putt without any funny contour, and it's flat from the ball to the hole. Even though it's tilted, the surface is not wrinkled and bumpy.
It's flat, not necessarily level.
Yeah, it's not necessarily, it won't be level because that won't drain. So it will be tilted. But we're talking about the surface as if you ran your hand over it. Is it one flat, plain surface, like a table?
Right. So that means the ball's just going to go straight from where you are to the...
Well, it just means that the break is highly predictable because it's not...
Break is highly predictable as opposed to straight. Okay.
Okay, complicated breaks, they go across different contours other than one flat plane. Mm-hmm. And those are more difficult to predict and to read and to execute. So we have a simple case. A simple case is, for example, a 10-foot putt across flat green on a tilt that you run into all the time. What's the break? How much does it break? All right, so I've designed two little putts to tell you all about it. Let me describe it. Okay. This is like the diamond bullet to the forehead version of what I'm talking about. You find a 2% slope. We've already described how do you know it's 2%. walk straight downhill 100 inches away as you can go, and then you stop and you compare where your foot is to where the hole is and what's the elevation drop from the hole to your foot. You imagine a string coming out of the hole dead level in gravity as far as your foot, and the height of the string above your foot tells you how many inches it is to the surface. That's what percent the slope is. Okay. If the string hits your foot at 2 inches off the ground, it's a 2% slope because you went 100 inches downhill. 2% is 2 over 100. It's a drop or a rise of 2 inches over a run of 100 inches. That's the slope, percent. It's also called the grade. If the string hits your foot at 3 inches off the ground, then that's a 3% slope. If the level string from the hole to your foot hits you in the ankle, that's a 4% slope.
So what we have to figure out is once we know what the slope is, once we know the degree is, we have to figure out how to adjust our speed, right?
We're going to test the 2% slope
on the practice
for your delivery speed. Okay, here's the next component. The things that make up break in physics are basically the steepness, the green speed, the distance of the putt, the contouring or the flatness of the surface, and your ball delivery speed across that surface. How fast is the ball traveling when it gets to the front lip of the cup? That's called a terminal velocity or delivery speed. Those factors, steepness, also direction uphill, flatness of surface, speed of grass, how far away you're putting, and what is your delivery speed, you can fix all of those and sort them out, and the only thing left is how much will it break. All right, that's like fixing the variables so that you don't have to deal with 10 variables, you have just one. That's like an experiment. That's what you do when you do experiments. So we're going to fix all the variables. Here's one. It's flat. Okay, we've decided we found a flat piece of grass. It's at least 10 feet away from the hole. It doesn't change contour. It's flat. Number 2, what's the slope? We found out it's 2%. Number 3, what's the green speed? It's today's green speed. If you want to know for mathematical calculations, you need to know the Stimpmeter speed of the green. And so you have to ask somebody that knows, or else you have to own a Stimpmeter, or else you have to know how to make one, or else you have to know how to simulate one. Basically, if you swing a conventional putter about 15 inches back from the ball and then let it re-swing itself without you powering it, that will deliver the velocity of the ball that a Stimpmeter gives it off the bottom of the ramp. It's about the same. If you get two shafts and you make a little channel out of the two shafts by holding them together, and then you put a ball on the shafts and you lift the ball up about 10.5 to 11 inches off the ground and then let go, it'll roll down the two shafts through the little channel you made, and then when it comes off, it'll be about the same speed as a Stimpmeter. Or you can buy a Stimpmeter, or you can just ask the greenskeeper or the pro shop, what's the stimp and the green speed? Lots of golf courses will post a little sign out by the green. Today's green is stimping 9.5. So that would be the easiest way to do it, is just ask. But I'm sure there are so many different gadgets and apps for their phone and stuff that's going to help you determine this. And are they worthwhile? This is one that doesn't really. The apps don't tell you the green speed. Right. You have to input that one. Okay. All right. The apps will tell you which way is uphill and how steep is it. It won't really tell you how flat it is, and it won't tell you the green speed, and it won't tell you your ball delivery speed. Right. Those you have to input. And it doesn't tell you how far you are away from the hole either. All right. So we're sorting out all these. How far away are we going to be? 10 feet. That's 4 military paces. Each military pace is 30 inches, or else the parade looks like crap. Everybody in the military has to make a 30-inch step, 2.5 feet each. 4 of those is 10 feet. You walk 4 feet away from the hole, you're 10 feet away. Or 3 putter lengths. 4 steps away. All right. Now, we would like, conveniently, to have a stimp speed of the green that is 10 for easy division. So we really want a stimp 10 green if we can find it. All right. So let's say we got a stimp 10 green, 2% slope, flat, and we're 10 feet away. and we know which way is directly uphill, straight through the hole, and we chose specifically to go 10 feet away, side hill, or perpendicular to the direction straight uphill. If you have a clock and you twist it around so that the 6 and the 12 through the hole, the center of the clock is on the center of the hole, and the 6 and the 12 points straight uphill, we're talking about walking along the line towards the 3 or the 9, perpendicular to the 6-12 line. The 9-3 line would be the axis of tilt. Mm-hmm. The direction of the surface is 6-12, and the steepness is how much the 12 is rised up over top of the 6, or how steep the difference is between the hole and a spot down the 6, 100 inches away. What's the elevation drop from the hole to the 6, 100 inches away? That's the steepness. Okay, so we've got a 2% grade for steepness. We have a flat green. We have a Stimpmeter 10, and we have a side hill 10-foot putt. Now, here's what you do with it. You putt straight at the middle of the hole for start line with your normal delivery speed. And then everything is perfectly sorted. The ball will not go straight because it will curl downhill. If you're from the 3 putting, it will curl downhill towards the 6 to your left. If you're putting from the 9 position, it will curl downhill to the 6 position to the right. Let's say we're at the 3 o'clock position and we aim dead straight at the center of the hole and we putted with good delivery pace. The ball will curl low, and then it will cross the 6-12 line, and then it will stop very soon thereafter because you have good delivery pace. A good delivery pace will carry the ball past the 6-12 line no more than 1 to 4 further rolls. Every roll of a golf ball is about 5.28 inches. That's the diameter of the cover material of a ball, 1.68 inches in diameter. Just 1.68 times pi equals 5.28. So if you unroll the ball and laid it down like a ruler on the ground, it goes about as far as the span of your hand from the wrist line to the last knuckle. Not the tip, the last knuckle. That's about 5.25 inches. So if you pat your hands along past the fall line, 1, 2, 3 of those, that's about the same as a gimme inside the leather. If you climbed your hands up a putter from the putter head to the bottom of the grip material, you'd have about 3 hand spans, and then you'd at the bottom of the grip material. So inside the leather is approximately 3 rolls past the hole or the fall line.
Okay.
4, you're still in the leather, so that's not terrible. 5, you're outside the leather, and now you're talking about 3 putting.
We don't like to talk about 3 putting. Oh, we lost you. Oh my God, I can't believe this. We lost our signal just as you said. That's when you 3 putt. and you had me like, well, what is this, like a joke? I'm supposed to guess something? But we lost our connection. So I'm glad that we're back. You're still at McDonald's. It's now probably very dark where you are. We've been at this for a while. So finish your sentence. Yes, we don't want a 3 putt. So where are we?
Okay, so we were just locking down the variables, one of which is touch. We want to putt our test putt to find out the break using our usual good touch delivery speed that only goes 1, 2, or 3 rolls past the fall line in case of a miss, and then the ball stops. Right? So if you have that skill, you use that touch delivery speed when we do this 10-foot test putt. All right, now we got everything sorted. Now all we just do is we make a straight putt directly at the hole with good touch, and then we watch and see how far it crosses the fall line below the center of the hole, and we measure it. All right? If, for example, a 2% slope in a Stimp 10 green with your good delivery speed started straight at the hole, curls 10 inches below the hole, guess what? 10 inches divided by 10-foot putt tells you the magic number. It tells you that that surface combination, a 20 of a Stimp 10 green and a 2% slope multiplied together is a Stimp slope something called 20. Breaks 1 inch for every foot that you putted. Remember, it broke 10 inches. When it crossed the fall line below the center of the hole, it was 10 inches from the center of the hole to the point where the ball rolled across the fall line. Mm-hmm. We measured it. It was one grip. The length of one putter grip from the center of the hole to the point where the ball rolled across low beneath the hole across that fall line. And we putted from 10 feet away. So if you divide the number of inches that it breaks, and by it I mean the Stimp slope 20, it broke 1 inch for every foot that you were away from the hole.
Right.
That's the magic. Now you can aim a 15-footer, you can aim a 5-footer, you can aim an 8-footer. And the next point is, those are all the side hill putts. You can aim all of those based on that formula, 1 inch per foot for the Stimp speed 20, slope speed 20. They're all 1 inch per foot. A 5-foot putt breaks 5 inches.
Okay.
On a 20. If you aim from the center of the hole, 5 inches straight uphill, and stick a T-peg in, and start your ball directly at the T-peg and let it break to the low side, it will go in the center of the cup if you hit the same delivery pace that you used to test it with.
Right.
All right. Now, if you use a 8-foot putt, breaks 8 inches.
Do you need to get that?
No, I just need to stop them.
Okay.
I'll talk to him later.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so now those are side hill putts. Now here's the next point. If you wanted to know 10 feet putt around the center of the hole in a big circle, you took a 10-foot string and stuck it right in the middle of the center of the cup, and then you stretched it out 10 feet away and you drew a circle around the cup 10 feet out, and you put 360 golf balls on that circle in a big circle, and you put it, every single one of them, they aim at exactly the same target, 10 inches above the hole, the T-peg on the fall line, 10 inches from the center of the cup.
Okay.
The uphill putts aim at it, the downhill putts aim at it, the side hill putts aim at it. They all aim at that one T-peg. And then the 8-foot putt, they aim at a T-peg 8 inches above the hole. And a 5-foot putt, they aim at a T-peg 5 inches above the hole. Now, some people will say funny stuff about that, and they will say the downhill putts go more slowly and they break more, and the uphill putts go faster and they break less. Well, that's the difference between academic people that never get outside their office and people who play golf.
Go ahead, say it. Come on. Wait, we've been doing this for almost 2 hours there, and you haven't said it. Come on, say it.
Rough and rowdy Scots have contempt for academics in their office.
No, man. Those people are stupid. Come on, say it.
They're stupid. They got PhDs, and it means FUD dummy. They write papers and they have all kinds of pretensions to mathematical expertise and physics degrees and blah, 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 blah. Well, they ain't a patch on my ass because I got 40 years of loving physics, but I know golf. They don't know golf.
Right.
Bad combination. It's like they know how to mix paint, but they never painted a house. Okay? You can't apply physics to golf unless you know the golf. Let me say that one more time. I don't care if you can do the formulas. Oh, physics guy at Yale. You don't know how it applies to the golf course because we're rough and rowdy Scots. We're engineers. We're not calculators trying to get an A in a classroom. We're engineers making a putt go in a hole. There's a little sloppiness to it all.
All right, so what we want to do is bushwhack common putts. And what you find out is that, yeah, there is a technical difference between a downhill putt and an uphill putt, but it doesn't really matter until you get a steep green of 3% or more, and you get past beyond further than 10 feet. It just doesn't, it's not that big of a difference. Now, the guys in their ivory towers that calculate that, if they look back at their notebooks, they will find out that their little differences aren't that big until you get beyond this realm of reality. So we take the stage and we kick them off the stage and we embarrass them in front of their peers because they act like they know stuff, but they're basically bad scientists. They can't apply knowledge. So that makes them bad scientists. To purport to answer questions in golf when they don't know anything about the golf, they need to shut up and stop. It's not a dilettante sport where you can come in and lord it over people because you got a PhD at Yale University. Go away. There are people that know more about it than you. They are scientists that apply the knowledge intelligently and reasonably to the actual experience of golfers on real greens, about which at Yale and New Haven, Connecticut, they know very darn little.
So now it not like Yale specific, like you don't like Harvard either, right?
No, there's one guy in particular that writes these papers. There's another guy at Malaspina University in British Columbia that writes these papers, and there's another guy at San Jose State, and I call them play papers. I want to embarrass them with their peers in physics because their peers in physics know that they don't count, that they're not going to make money or get an advancement in their physics department by writing these little papers when they have 2 weeks off in the summer. And it's insulting to golf for them to come in and pretend to do that. It looks a lot more significant to golfers than it should. But an educated, rough and rowdy Scots engineer has contempt for this sort of thing. Okay? Value the game of golf too much to allow that kind of silliness. So we tell the people at Yale and Malaspina and San Jose, stick it. Stop. Go away. We're going to explain to our friends, the golfers, that you're not their buddy. That you don't really know what you're doing. Okay? Now, back to the test putt. When you apply all this, yeah, there's a difference between downhill and uphill, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't, not until you get steep and you get far away, and we're not there. Not makeable putts anyway.
Right, we're 10-footers.
So, yeah, there is a little difference. But when you're in the cleanup zone, man, a 5-foot putt from any direction, you're ready to lock and load if you know that 5-foot putt breaks 5 inches. And that's on a 20. So you got to know whether you're on a 20 or not. Now, you can get to 20s by different ways. A stimp 7 and a 3% slope is about 20. A stimp 11 and a stimp what makes it 20?
2.
1.5 or something.
Yeah.
1.7, something like that.
Right.
Whatever the calculator tells you.
Yep.
I can't do it in my head, I got to admit that. But any combination where it comes out of 20, they break exactly the same.
Wow. That's fabulous.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
That's revelation stuff. That's awesome.
That's right. Now, they've done this since at least 1984 because this nice old guy in Texas, a retired Air Force colonel named A.J. Templeton, put it in his book. So anybody that purports today to be the originator of this, that would not include me because I'm respectful and honor the past. Yes, however, there are other people who act as if they came up with it. Well, they didn't, by golly. All right. So these magnificent concepts of slope and Stimpmeter smashed together, mash up into a new thing called a stimp slope, SS. It doesn't matter how you get there. If you recognize it's a 20, you're off to the races on knowing what you're doing. All right, now let's go to the next level.
Wait. Are you playing with that power thing again? Because your signal got better.
Okay, I'll stop it.
Yeah, but as you were doing that, the signal got much better.
Okay, all right, now.
Cool, okay.
we know from one putt, simple little putt, a 10-foot putt on this 2% slope, Stimp 10 green. It's a 20. We made a 10-foot putt, and we found out something magical that sorts out everything inside 15 feet for that particular 20, right? Mm-hmm. We did was one putt. Mm-hmm. Now let's go over the top and expand it to many other slopes that we might actually encounter. A 1%, a 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%. We did a 20, which means for that green speed, a 2 is proportionately what in relationship to a 1? Twice as much. So that means if it broke 1 inch on a 2% Stimp 10 green, we now know that on a 1% slope, it will break 1/2 of an inch. Now we have the entire world of 1% slopes in our little bailiwick. Let's put the 3s in there. A 3% slope will break 1.5 times as much as the 2%. That means the 2% breaks 1 inch. A 3% will break 1.5 inches for every foot of putt. Mm-hmm. You're 5 feet away. How much is it going to break? 7.5 inches. That's 5 times 1.5. Okay. That's a 3% slope. Okay. How much is a 10-foot putt going to break on a 3% slope? 15 inches. 10 times 1.5. All right, so we have 3% slopes now in our bailiwick. Let's do 4s. What's the relationship between a 2% slope and a 4% slope? Twice as much. So a 4% slope will break 2 inches for every foot. A 10-foot putt will break 20 inches. From the center of the hole, straight uphill, put a T-peg in, 2 putter grips up, and then putt with your good delivery speed straight at that T-peg and let it break straight in the center of the hole. A 5-foot putt will break 10 inches because it's 2 inches for every foot, and you got 5 of them. Now let's put the 5% slopes into our bailiwick. What's the relationship between 2% slope and 5? It's 2.5. If a 2% slope breaks 1 inch, a 5% slope will break 2.5 inches for every foot. Because how much will a 10-foot putt break? 25 inches. Right? How much will a 5-foot putt break? 12.5 inches. 5 times 2.5. All right, now let's be done with all this by putting the 6% slopes in there, the ones we're not ever going to see. Right. It's 3 times as much. 2% breaks 1 inch, 6% breaks 3 inches for every foot. 30 inches on 10 feet and 15 inches from 5 feet.
All right. Okay, now, I think we got it. It's like, well, we're getting it's just like too much detail here, but I think we got your point. Yeah.
Let me run back through it real quick.
Okay.
We're bushwhacking the common putts that we can actually sink across flat green inside 10 feet. And we want to know the different slopes and the green speeds, how they combine to generate specific information about how many inches it breaks per foot. You putt 10 feet on whatever it is, a 20, a 30, whatever it is, and however much it curls below the hole, you measure that. That's the answer for that stimp and slope combination.
And this is all on your practice greens before you get out there. This is where you're trying to figure this out to take it with you out on the course.
And you don't even have to know the green speed.
Right.
If you're going to play from the practice green onto the course that day, you don't even have to ask that question because the green speeds that day will be the same as the green on the practice green. So whatever it breaks on 2% slope, you can fill in all the details. If it happens to break 10 inches, that will tell you that that is a Stimp 10 green. You can work backwards that way and figure that out. Mm-hmm. If you know it's a Stimp 10 green and it breaks 15 inches from 10 feet, that tells you it's a 3% slope. You can work it that way.
I'm liking it.
Okay?
Yep.
So
So basically, I created that, and I'm proud of it.
We're proud of you, too.
Okay.
And it's like we got our own Yale education here.
Oh, yeah.
No, we'll give a Stanford education here. Screw
Now,
Yale, right?
That's right. Let's do the last little piece of reasonable, rough and rowdy Scots.
Okay.
We didn't really read a putt on the green. We got a ballpark.
Right.
We got a generalized understanding that needs to be applied to a specific putt on the golf course. Okay? So when you get a putt on the golf course, if it's flat, if it's 2%, if it's 10 feet away, if it's a stimp 10 green, the same as a practice green or whatever it is, then you're kind of ready to lock and load, but that seldom is exactly what happens. It's not exactly a 2% slope. It's just not exactly 10 feet away. It may be a little different green speed. It may not be exactly flat.
It's golf. It can't be exact.
That's right. However, the people at Yale don't know this part of it. The golfers have to go from the generalized paradigm from the book to this specific putt and apply the book knowledge reasonably and intelligently and adjust it. That's the engineer thing. You have to adjust your book knowledge to the facts that you face in the specifics. And that means that you readily understand that you don't have the read just because you did this thing on the practice green. What you have is you have a very close understanding of where you start, and then you have the task of making a very minor adjustment to make an executive decision on what to actually do for this putt. And that will carry you miles and miles past your competitors in reading putts.
Yay! And the whole bottom line here is going past your competitors.
Beat them like a drum.
Beat them like a pulp.
Golf is pretty good to be a solitary sport, but it's not really the blood curdling thrill you get when you beat other people.
It's kind of true, although whether it's for money or not, it's just knowing. It's like my favorite is getting in somebody's head, but yeah, I'm always competing against myself. But boy, beating someone you're out there playing with is always fun.
See you make that birdie and they can't make it.
Yep. Oh God, Geoff, that was awesome, man. Thank you.
All right, man.
Oh, my dog is done with you. So leave the parking lot of McDonald's now. Go do some more teaching. Let's stay in touch. I always love having you on because you're always good. Worth 2 episodes at least.
People are going to get a 45-page PDF from me if they'll just send GEOFF at puttingzone.com. Send me email, GEOFF at puttingzone.com.
Yeah,
and I'll send them 45.
Right. If any of this stuff made any sense to you at all, or you need more, send Geoff that email. Get the email and peruse it. I've been looking at it, and it's like, wow. And if you've ever been to puttingzone.com, it's a taste of how much detail you'll get. Because, well, listen, you've just heard these 2 episodes, so it's exactly what happens. Geoff Mangum, the man when it comes to putting in the world of golf. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it. Safe travels, and we'll be in touch.
Okay. Thank you very much, Fred. Bye-bye.